Good morning, this is Nicholas from Gandora Gaming, and today I bring you guys my Myutant Ghoti Teleport deck profile 2025 post Duelist Advance. Now you're probably wondering, what the hell did I just say? Mutants and Ghoti and Teleport? Why are we mixing three archetypes together? What's going on, Nick? What are you doing? So let me tell you how this all came to be. If you're familiar with my channel, you know I'm a big fan of Mutants and Ghoti together. The two TCG exclusive archetypes have been neglected over the last few years, have a lot of synergies together. If you're not familiar with the Mutant cards, they revolve around banishing cards from hand or field in order to spell summon mutants from the extra deck and from the main deck in order to do your combos. And the Ghoti are a cool fish archetype that like to be banished in order to summon on your opponent's standby phase in order to quick synchro on your opponent's turn. So they have some really cool synergies together. And for a while, that was it. The deck was cool, but it wasn't that competitive. And even now, it's still not that great. However, with the addition of Duelist Advance, we have the new Teleport archetype, which introduces a shit ton of brand new starters for the deck, which I feel like gives the deck so many new combo lines and plays that the deck, even though I don't think it could stand up to the current meta, is way better than it has been in the last few years, and I felt like I needed to make a deck profile on it. Mutants and Ghoti are two of my favorite TCG exclusives. They're right there with Gold Pride. I think those three archetypes are just so much fun, and I felt like the last few sets, we've been getting so many generic psychic support cards that just help out Mutant as a whole, that I wanted to make a deck profile, and now that these cards are officially out, I could show you what I've been cooking up the last few months online. So let's get straight into this. So first things first, let's talk about the Mutant cards as a whole. Why are we playing Mutant? Mutant is a fusion archetype based around main deck boss monsters. We're playing 2 copies of Arsenal and 2 copies of Beast. These are your bread and butter of the deck. These are very easy to access to our combo. Basically, they are generic monsters that have some really powerful effects on field. Mutant Beast has the ability that he can banish a card from hand or field in order to then negate a spell card your opponent activates, and if so, he banishes it, which is pretty powerful. Mutant Arsenal says when your opponent activates a card effect, you can banish a monster from hand or field, or just banish a card in general, in order to then banish a monster your opponent controls, which is pretty strong. They're also level 8, which gives us some cool synergies with cards like Paces and Shift, because this plus the Paces equals a Synchro 10 into Ghoti the Deep Beyond, which means we can banish all cards our opponent's field on their turn, which feels really, really cool. We're also, of course, playing the main deck Mutant monsters in the form of ST46 and lovely M05. So let me explain what these guys do. So these guys are the bread and butter of the deck. They're a psychic water archetype that basically revolve around e-telly. On normal or special summon, so even if you e-telly them, they search you a mutant card. Mutant ST46 searches spells and traps, and Mutant M05 searches monsters. And then they all have the effect during your main phase, you contribute them in order to banish a card from hand or field, and then based on the type you banish, you summon a mutant monster from your your main deck. So if you banish a monster card, like a Ghoti, you summon out Beast from deck. If you banish out a trap, you summon out Arsenal, who is pretty awesome. So that's kind of the gist of the deck. Because you're doing so many banishing in your hand and field, the Ghotis just have synergies. You can just banish a Pace from hand in order to then get a free Synchro 10 on your opponent's field, or a free Synchro 8 on your opponent's field, which feels really, really cool. We're also playing 2 copies of Mutant. This card's the only support Mutants have gotten since their base support in Phantom Rage, which is kind of insane. If you don't know, Mutants came out in Phantom Rage. The same set we got Virtual World, Tri Brigade, the really good Phantom Knight support, and Mutants are the TCG exclusive of that set. And then it took them a year after that set to get 1 card for their archetype, that being Mutant, which has the ability, if you control a mutant monster, spell summon it from hand, then it contribute itself, banish a card from your deck that is a mutant card, and then based on its typing, spell summon a mutant from the deck. However, you take life points times its level. So basically the idea is that you go mutant MO5, search yourself a mutant, spell summon a mutant, tribute itself, banish most likely the mutant trap card from deck, and then you get an arsenal for free, but you do take like 3,000 life points. And that is the gist of the mutant cards in general. And as you can see, that's not a lot. This is cool, it's really interesting, but we need other archetypes to give this deck some life. And luckily for us, Konami has been giving us generic psychic support and just generic TCG exclusive cards that really help out this deck. First things first, we have Prototype Psychic Blaster. This is part of the new teleport archetype. This card is just really, really good for the deck. This card can discard itself from hand in order to just special summon a level 4 or lower psychic monster directly from hand. So let's say you have 2 of these in hand. You can literally go discard this card, spell summon one, normal summon the other. Then, as long as you have one of these engraved, you can spell summon him back onto the field by banishing it and taking 1,000 life points, which is really, really cool. It gives you some access to a really cool extender plus an extra normal summon. Not to mention, it's just another level 6 extender to help you synchro climb as well. There's a lot of tuners in this deck, even though we have not gotten to them. So this card just feels really good in the deck. We're also playing 3 copies of Mini Menelad. This is a TCG exclusive card that came out this year. And this card is Ghoti's bread and butter. This card is absolutely amazing. This is not Ghoti. This is Mutant, everything they want and desire. This card basically says, hey, you can banish a card from your hand, spell summon it onto the field, and then you can banish a monster you control, spell summon a monster with the same type, but a lower level, directly from your deck. The main combo you can do in this card is that you can spell summon this card from hand by banishing, let's say, a Ghoti from hand. Then, on field, you can banish itself to special summon any of your little mutant monsters directly from your deck without using your normal summon, which is really, really strong. Now, that's not the only thing this thing can do. It can summon more things based on what you banish. However, the main targets are going to be your mutant monsters. This is one of the best extenders for the deck, and it's just a really great card in general. Next, we're playing 2 copies of Paces and 2 copies of Shift. These are the only Ghotis we're playing in the deck. Again, these are just cards we could banish off our Synchro 6. Not to mention, they're just cards we could banish from hand off our Minilad or our Mutant cards in order to just keep going from there. They're just banished targets so they can come back during the standby phase and help us synchro on our opponent's turn. We're also playing 1 copy of Ghost Ogre because it is now searchable because of the previous set, which I'll get into in a moment. Now let's talk about the actual teleport monsters. We're playing 3 copies of Mind Procedure. This is a brand new starter for the deck, which feels insane. On normal summon or special summon, if this card was special summon off a monster, it pays 2,000 life points to search yourself E-Telly. That's what this card does. It's insane. It's a tuner. It's level 3. It's everything the deck needed and more. You can literally just go normal summon, pay 2,000, search E-Telly for whatever you need, and then just go from there, which is kind of incredible. Another great new starter for the deck is Serene Psychic Girl. Serene Psychic Girl is just absolutely amazing. Not only is this another tuner access, it's a level 2 Earth. It does lock you into Psychics from the extra deck. However, that's not a big deal because it spell summons, it does a shit ton. So the idea is that you banish a card from your hand, then spell summon a Psychic monster that's level 4 or lower directly from your deck. So the combo you can do is normal summon Serene Psychic Girl, banish a card from hand, summon out Mind Procedure from deck. Mind Procedure, pay 2,000, get E-Telly. E-Telly for either a mutant monster or Psy-Frame Reflector, which is another new card we're playing in the deck. Actually, this isn't a new card. If you check out my older deck profile, we always play the Assault Mode package. However, I just felt like this new teleport engine makes this Psy-Frame package or Psy-Reflector package so much better. So if you don't know, Psy-Reflector is a level 1 psychic tuner monster that has the ability to search an Assault Mode card directly from deck. Then, again, reveal a Assault Mode activated from hand in order to then reborn an Assault Mode monster from your graveyard. The target for this card is Assault Beast. The idea is that you go normal summon Cypher Reflector, add to your hand Assault Beast, a Beast pitch itself, get Assault Mode activated, then you go Cypher Reflector, reveal Assault Mode from hand, spells summon back Beast, and then modulates level to Sacred Climb. And luckily for us, Psy Reflector can be summoned off Mind Procedure, it can be summoned off Serene Psychic Witch, it can be summoned off E-Tele, and it can be summoned off the new Parallel Teleport as well, which makes it way more consistent and way more powerful to do. Now, this is a new addition. This is just for, like, since this deck already is not competitive, this is just for, like, a fun, casual build. I am playing the 1 Stardust Dragon Assault mode. This card is just really, really fun. It's basically like a main deck Cosmic Blazar Dragon. Basically, it can't be spell summoned without Assault mode activated, so you have to make Stardust. But what this card does is basically, as a quick effect, you contribute it to negate the activation of a card effect. And then if you do, during the end phase, it comes back, which is pretty cool. It's also a win, so you can't bestial it. But it's basically just like a main deck Stardust, which is kind of cool. It's kind of goofy. Worst comes to worst, you can search it off your Psy Reflector, and then just banish it from hand with your Megarad or your Mutant cards, and just be like, cool, it paid the cost. That's all it is, which feels not bad. That is it for our monsters. Let's talk about our spells and traps. First things first, we're playing 3 copies of Mutant Evolution Lab. This card has gotten so much better with the addition of the new Teleport archetype. If you don't know, Mutant Evolution Lab has the ability that on activation, it spell summons a mutant monster from your banish zone or from hand. And then it also has the ability that you can shuffle a mutant card from your hand back into deck to draw a card. So it's like a cool Cosmo Town effect where like shuffle back a Cosmo card, draw a card. But instead this card shuffles back a mutant card, draws a card, which is not bad. But the idea of this card is that we have many ways to just banish our mutant cards directly from hand, either off Mutant, either off lovely Cypher combo, and then we can just use Mutant Lab, summon it back, and then just keep going from there. So this is basically just an extender, which feels really good, and overall just a good card for the deck. We're also playing 3 copies of Emergency Teleport, because Emergency Teleport is the heart and soul of all psychic decks. Spell non-once per turn, spell summon a level 3 or lower psychic from deck. Insane card. We're also playing 3 copies of Parallel Teleport. Now, you probably don't need 3 copies of Parallel Teleport. However, what I like about this card, even though it is a once per turn, is that it helps you dodge targeted negation. So because one of the big issues with mutants is that sometimes they're very normal summon reliant. And if you stop their normal summon, you can win the game sometimes. So this card helps you play through that pretty well. If you go like Imperm on your Serene Psychic Witch, or your Psy-Frame Reflector, or your Mind Procedure, or your Mutant Monster, you can just go, cool, quick Parallel Teleport, tribute it, summon out what you need from deck. You're locked into Psychics for the rest of the turn, but you still dodge the targeted removal negation, and you got a search or a summon. It kind of helps out the deck a lot. The deck was more competitive, you wouldn't be relying on this card. However, because the deck is very casual and very fun with friends, this card is just a very essential card for the deck, and it's a great boost to the deck's consistency. And finally, you're playing 1 Fusion, Teleport Fusion, and then we're also playing 1 Assault Mode Activate, and 2 copies of Mutant Cry. Should actually go over what these cards do. Teleport Fusion is literally just a card we can search off our lovely Mind Procedure. And it basically allows us to fusion summon a psychic monster by banishing the material from grave or field, allowing us to have access to our brand new fusion boss monster. However, this card gets a lot better in the next set, Doom, because in Doom, we get the brand new fusion psychic boss monster that makes this deck even stronger, which I can't wait to incorporate when those cards come out. But for now, Teleport is just fine as a one-of. We're also playing 2 copies of Mutant Cry, because this is our mutant card that we want to banish to summon Arsenal off our Mutant. Not to mention, this card could be set onto the field by Mutant ST46. And then this card can quick fusion on your opponent's main phase in order to make one of your fusion boss monsters, which feels really good. And then finally, we're playing the 1 Salt Mode Activate. It is a Garnet for the deck. As you can see, we're actually playing a couple of Garnets. You don't want to see Arsenal, you don't want to see Beast, and you don't want to see Assault Mode in hand or Assault Mode Stardust. But besides that, every card in our hand or here is kind of like a combo starter, which feels really, really good. That's why it's more than 40 cards, because you don't want to hand a bad card. As long as you have a starter, you can probably play the game, which feels pretty good. That is it for the deck profile when it comes to the main deck. Let's actually go over the extra deck real quick. Again, this is a very fun, casual deck, but I do think these archetypes bring a whole new dimension to mutants as a whole. I still feel like until the new support comes out, Ghoti still have a place in this deck, just because they're just easy to make for the archetype as a whole. So I'm going to put that there. Let's actually go over the extra deck real quick. So first things first, we're playing one Absolute Axon Kicker. This is our Fusion Boss monster that we just got in the brand new set. This card gets a lot better next set when we can make it a lot easier off the brand new Serene Synchro. But this card is just really, really good. Basically what it allows us to do is that on Fusion Summon, you can pay 2,000 life points to banish all monsters or all cards our opponent controls. Then, if this card leaves the field and sent to the graveyard, you can spell summon a Psychic Fusion monster that is level 10 or lower directly from the extra deck, and it's counted as a Fusion Summon. And guess what? That means you can summon out Mutant Ultimateness off this card. Mutant Ultimateness is a Mutant's Fusion Boss monster. It's basically Mechabot on legs. It's a Mutant Ultimateness is a fusion that requires 3 level 8 or higher mutant monsters, and it has the ability that you can banish a mutant spell, a mutant monster, a mutant trap from your graveyard, field, or hand. And based on the type you banish, you negate and banish a monster or card your opponent controls. So let's say your opponent activates Empire. You can banish a mutant trap from grave or from hand or field, and then congratulations, you negate and banish that trap. And they activate a monster like Detonator, you go, cool, banish a mutant monster from grave, hand, or field, including himself, if you want, and then negate and banish that card, etc., etc. It's just a really good card, a really good boss monster for the deck. I also believe it floats when it dies, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so when this card is destroyed by opponent's card effect, you can add up to 3 of your banished mutant cards, 1 monster, spell, and trap, back to your hand, which is pretty cool. So it adds back the fusion card, it adds back a banished mutant monster. We're not really playing any mutant spells besides the field spell, so there's that. Really, really good card in general. Next, we're playing 1 Mutant Synthesis. This is the main monster we summon off our Mutant Cry. This card on Fusion Summon pops a card your opponent controls, and then it also has a quick effect to make itself unaffected by card effects, which is like really cool. However, it's only 2,500, so it's not the greatest stats. However, it is just a quick effect pop that we have easy access to in this deck off Mutant Cry, which feels really, really good. So that is it for our fusions. Let's talk about our synchros. We're paying a lot of light points with E-Tele and everything else. So we are playing 1 copy of Second Hand Punisher. He's our Synchro 11. He's unaffected by card effects. He's a Psychic, so even if we lock ourselves, we can make him. And he punches really, really fucking hard. He gains attack equal to the difference of all light points. We're also, of course, playing the brand new Fusion Boss, Synchro Boss monster in the form of the Cursed Thunder God. If you don't know what he does, he can tribute himself, destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls, or Raigeki your opponent. He also, anytime your opponent's card resolves, you gain life points. I think it's 300 for every card resolving, so he does heal you as well, which does matter. We're also, of course, playing 1 Ghoti the Deep Beyond because it's very easy to access in his deck. And it's just a really cool boss monster to banish all cards your opponent controls, which feels really, really cool. We don't synchro lock ourselves. This card is very easy to access. We're also playing 1 Psychic Blaster MK2. This card is a brand new boss monster for the deck. It's really, really cool. 1 Serene Psychic Witch plus a discard makes this card for free. And basically what this card does, it can reborn any banished monster during our main phase onto our field. Not to mention, during either player's turn, basically you can banish a card from our graveyard that is Psychic to then banish a card your opponent controls, and then you gain life points equal to the banished monster's original attack, which is pretty awesome. We're also playing 1 Virtual World Synchro Boss monster. This card isn't good right now, however, in some formats, and if your opponent needs cards to be sent to grave, This card is basically a macrocosmos for any monsters that are sent from field to graveyard, which does come up. However, because of Malice, it's not the greatest option, and also Rizio does not care. But against other decks that were previously in the format, this card can be a game ender, so do keep that in mind. We're also playing one Askelin, the Myutant Ghoti. This card has just always been good for the deck. You can Synchro Summon this card off Paces or Shift. On Synchro Summon, it banishes itself and one card your opponent controls, and then it banishes a fish from grave to bring himself back onto the field, which feels really, really good. You don't have to worry about being locked in the Psychics because we're goading our opponent's turn, which feels really good. We're also playing the one Jam Dragon Drive. Not only is this a Synchro 8 that does not lock us because it's a Synchro 8 Psychic monster, but it searches out Ghost Ogre or any of our starters by paying 600. And because of the previous set, we can just slap this guy on top now, and now we have access to a negate or a draw, which feels really good. So this card is just a great addition to the deck, which feels really good. We're also, of course, playing one Crossmind Archfiend. I'm testing out this card. This has the quick effect to basically, during the main phase, target one of your banished monsters that is level 7 or lower psychics, and then spell summon it onto the field, which feels really, really good. And then you could tribute one of our monster, gain life points equal to that monster's original attack. And this card gains that much attack until the end of the turn, which is pretty cool. It's another combo extender card that I'm having testing out in the deck. We're also playing the one copy of Stardust because, again, Assault Mode activated. We can summon out our Assault Stardust, which is pretty cool. And we're also playing one Ghoti of the Apolos, the Serpent of the Ghoti. This is the card how we access our Ghoti line if we don't have any Ghoti in hand to banish. Basically, Apolos can just banish a Ghoti shift from deck, and then we just proceed to go from there. We're also playing the one Silent Psychic Magician. This helps us climb into our synchro plays. This card, if spell summon, could just target one level 4 second monster in their graveyard and spell summon onto our field, which feels really, really good. And overall, is just a great card. And finally, we're also playing one Punk Jam Fever because you can summon it on top of our Jam Dragon Drive and just have a free negate. So that is it for the deck profile. Let me show you some combos this deck can do. So I'm going to power shuffle this deck real quick, and then I'm just going to draw some test hands and see what this deck can actually produce. Now, I will say there is some bricks in the deck, so there is a chance I just show you a brick hand. But like I said, there's a lot of one-card combos this deck has access to now because of the brand new teleport archetype that I think this deck has some huge potential going forward. Maybe not now, maybe the format is a little too fast, and maybe we just do need another wave of mutant support, which we desperately do actually. But honestly, we just need to see what happens from here. So I'm going to power shuffle this real quick, and then we're just going to draw a test hand and see what happens. If you like the deck profile, check out my channel. I have a couple of Myutant Ghoti deck profiles. My bread and butter when it comes to like deck profiles is definitely Punk. That's my favorite deck of all time, and I make a whole entire playlist that you can check out on the channel. And it just goes over my play lines, what I think about the deck, it's how to play through certain cards, and overall my feelings on the format and things of that nature. So that is it. We power shuffle these bad boys up. We're going to shuffle a little bit more just because we really don't want a brick. And then we're just going to draw our 5 and see what happens. Alright, that's good enough. Draw our hand. Ghoti, Paces of Light. Stardust, Dragon Assault Mode. Mutant. Mutant Lab, E-Telly. So I'm not going to lie, you guys, these cards suck. However, E-Telly is kind of our bread and butter. That's kind of what we needed, so let's do this thing. So, we're going to activate Emergency Teleport. We're going to spell summon from deck our lovely, lovely Psychic Serene Girl. Psychic Serene Girl is going to spell summon a mutant from Psychic from deck by banishing a card from hand. In this case, we'll banish the Ghoti Paces. Spell summon from deck our lovely, lovely Mind Procedure. Mind Procedure will then pay 2,000 life points, in order to add to our hand a teleport card. We can add it from the teleport from our graveyard, or we can add a teleport card directly from deck. I'm just going to add from graveyard because I think we're just going to always get E-Tele, and you want to save E-Teles in the deck. So I'm going to add this card back to hand, and then we are going to synchro. Because of this card, we can treat it as a non-tuner. So we'll synchro these two away in order to make our Silent Magician. Silent Magician's effect allows us to reborn a monster that is psychic, then modulate its level by 1. So we'll bring this back, make it a level 4. And then with these two, we will synchro summon into our lovely Psychic Blaster MKL 41. Cool, right? Now we can go E-Tele. Hello, hello. We can summon from our deck MK05. MK05 will activate, allowing us to add to hand MK46. We can now activate MK45, tribute itself, banishing MK46 from hand in order to spell summon from deck Mutant Beast. We can use this card to reborn him if we want, which most likely we will. We will activate its effect to reborn. Effect on summon. Search ourselves a mutant trap card or spell. Because we already have the field spell, we'll get ourselves Mutant Cry. We can now spell summon Mutant from hand. Tribute himself. Pay 3,000 life points. Banish from deck the other Mutant Cry. A special summon Arsenal directly from deck. And now if we really wanted to, we can banish himself and banish this to summon out another beast, which we might want to do just so we have access to the other fusion if we want. But ultimately depends on here. So let's say we end our turn here. We just set one pass. This is our hand. During our opponent's standby phase, this will come back. And then this is the plays we can do. So this is what we have access to. Alright. We have a quick effect banish spell and trap by banishing a monster we control. We have a quick effect banish a monster upon controls twice with the MK2 and the Mutant Arsenal. So this can banish, this can banish. This can fusion summon by shuffling mutant monsters from, I believe, hand, deck, or graveyard. You can fusion summon one mutant fusion monster from your extra deck by shuffling monsters from your field or graveyard or banishment, face-up banishment. You can only use each effective once per turn, so we can do that. We can shuffle back you, and we can shuffle back you back into the deck in order to summon out Mutant Cry. Or Mutant Synthesis. Mutant Synthesis will pop a card. And then we still have access to a quick synchro. Banish all cards on the field. We will draw for turn. This will come back. And then we still have plays going forward. We can just activate this. Reborn back the mutant from our banish zone. Effect to add to hand. And then we just go on and kill our opponent with the teleport card. But that is it for the combo, I guess. Again, that was off an E-Tele. Even with 4 bricks in hand, that's just the power of what the E-Tele can do. We ended on a fusion pop, a banish, a quick board wipe banish, a spell negate banish, and another monster negate banish. Oh, not monster negate, but just a monster banish off one E-Tele, and of course whatever we had in hand. Now, of course, we can open on better hands and better fields. That was with 4 garnets in hand and 1 E-Tele. So I can just show you what the deck can produce, kind of. Let me do another test hand and see if I can end on something similar or something better. I didn't really show off the Assault Mode package, so let me shuffle this bad boy up and see if I can draw a different hand. So that's just one of the combos we can do, which is pretty awesome. All right, that's probably good enough. Even though I didn't power shuffle, it's fine. I don't think it matters at this point because we already bricked my first game, but I drew the utility, so it didn't matter. Let's see, we draw Mutant Cry, one Serene the Psychic Girl, one Mutant Lab, one Psychic Procedure, and the one Psychic Blaster. So this hand is pretty solid, and let me show you what this deck can do. So, first things first, with a hand like this, this will lock us into Psychics as soon as we do it. So, if we don't want to lock ourselves into Psychics, we probably don't want to do that. So, let's go normal summon Mind Procedure. Mind Procedure will pay 2,000 life points to add to our hand E-Telly. We're going to activate E-Telly. Special summon from our deck a Psychic monster. In this case, we're going to go for Psy Reflector. Psy Reflector effect on normal spell summon, add Assault Mode from deck to hand. We are now going to pitch Assault Mode in order to add to our hand lovely Assault Mode activated. We are now going to reveal Assault Mode activated to our opponent, modulate its level to reborn this card. Now, we can make multiple of cards right now. There's a couple of ways we can do. Because we're not Psychic locked, we can go for our Ghoti, Scorpios banish a Ghoti from our deck, and then proceed to go from there, which is most likely what I do. Another line you can do is that you can level modulate in order to make ourselves a Jam Dragon Drive. Add Ghost Ogre, then slap this on top, which is another thing you can do. However, I feel like the banish all cards is just way better. So we're just going to modulate its level by 1. Synchro, because we're not locked yet. Special summon out the Scorpios. Scorpios effect. Banish a Ghoti directly from deck. We'll banish Shift, because Shift's the better one. So already we have Ghoti combo, which is pretty good. We are now going to activate Protocol of the Psychic Blaster, pitch itself, in order to special summon Serene Psychic Girl from hand. Serene Psychic Girl says you can banish one card from your hand, and if you do, special summon a level 4 Psychic monster directly from deck. However, you then lock into Psychics. Based on this hand, it depends on what we want to access to. You'd be like, oh, you want to banish the Assault Mode, right? This card is dead now, but again, this deck can access Psy-Frame Reflector so easily, and we banish this card, we lose access to that entire package. But just to show you, I will banish it anyway, because these cards are still alive. Yeah, we will. So I'll spell summon from deck now. A lovely... It could be anybody. I can summon him to fit out the deck, which would be funny. But we're just going to go for MK45. MK45 on summon allows me to add to hand a, we'll call it Psychic monster. We can add Psychic MK46 from deck to hand if you want. Or we can banish whatever. Because we already have access to these two, we'll get Mutant. No, I think we still always go for... Yeah, I think we still always go for MK46. Then, we can banish its tribute. Banish itself from hand. Special summon from deck. Mutant Beast. We can activate the Evolution Lab. Special summon from our graveyard, our banish zone, Mutant ST46. ST46 on summon. Allow us to add Mutant Cry from deck to hand, or another Mutant Lab, depending on which one we want to go. Now we have a couple options here. We can again synchro these two off, however way you want. Bam, bam. Or there's so many different plays, it's hard to say. So I'm going to show you the same line again, where I make him again, or because we are Psychic Lock, I can use these two. Synchro into Psychic and Punisher, or this guy, and then effect, I can tribute. So banish this card, tribute. Special summon from deck. Arsenal. Or, if we want to keep this in hand, banish. Instead of Arsenal, we could summon out Beast. Whichever way you want to do it. I think the Arsenal is better though. So we will just go for that instead. There's so many lines. That's the funny thing with this deck. So we'll just go for you, banishing you from deck. And then set. Pass our turn to our opponent during the standby phase. The lovely, lovely Ghoti will return. Let me just move this so you can see it all. And then this is our end board. We have multiple quick synchros, and we have multiple quick fusions on our opponent's turn and multiple interruptions. So this can tribute itself, destroy all spells and traps, or destroy all monsters our opponent controls. This can quick synchro using these two, or these two to make a synchro fish. This can banish you in order to banish a card. This can fusion summon using monsters from our graveyard or for however. So we shuffle back these two, summon out you. And then we can still quick synchro and banish everything. And then standby phase, this returns, I draw a card. And then, guess what? Banish, swing for game, most likely, because of all the banished cards in our graveyard. Or we just tribute, go from there. That's it for the deck profile. I think this deck's really fun. It has a lot of cool combos and plays. And I think this deck's really, really fun. I got lost in the sauce a little bit because there's so many different lines we can access, which is kind of cool. But, yeah, this deck is really fun and only gets better next set with the access to the brand new second wave of teleport support. But yeah, this deck has something going for it. It's very fun, ends on several board wipes, and it banishes all your opponent's cards. And the banish zone, unless you're lovely, lovely Malice, it's kind of a death sentence. A lot of decks don't like the banish zone. So the fact that you just keep banishing all their stuff feels really, really good. Now, of course, if you banish Malice cards, what can you do? But that's besides the point. Anyway, I hope you all enjoy. Don't do anything stupid. I'll see you all next one. And goodbye.